Hello, and in this part 2 IELTS speaking video, I'm going to look at the topic, describe a person who often helps others. You should say who the person is, what the person does, why this person helps others, and explain how you feel about this person. Now the question doesn't ask for a famous person, so you could talk about a famous person, or you could talk about a non-famous person. The choice is yours. However, in my answer, I'm going to talk about a famous person because he is somebody you will hopefully all know, and he is famous for helping others. So let's take a look at the model answer. I was struggling to decide who to talk about because, to be perfectly honest, I couldn't think of anyone. Don't get me wrong, I do have helpful friends, but I'd struggle to talk about them for 2 minutes. So the first person that I thought of, outside of my friends and family, was Bill Gates and his wife. Her name has slipped my mind, so apologies for referring to her as his wife. As you are probably aware, Bill Gates is the founder of Microsoft. He established this company in the 1970s, and it went on to become one of the most successful and profitable corporations in the world. As far as I know, he retired or semi-retired from the company a decade or so ago, and he set up a charitable foundation with his wife. I think I am right in saying that it is the world's largest private charity. Obviously, as the world's richest person, no, in actual fact I think he is the second world's richest person now. Some may argue he should do this, but I disagree. If he wanted to enjoy his retirement, chilling out in the sun all day, that's fine by me. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that through his charity he has given away just under 50% of his wealth. Personally, I think that's incredible. I know he has an astronomical amount of money, but it's still pretty amazing. He worked hard for his money. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and through his hard work, he is helping others. Again, I'm not entirely sure, but I have a feeling the main work of the foundation is people's health. Going from being one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs to the world's greatest philanthropist makes Bill Gates someone who must be admired. So let's take a look at the language. As you can see, I'm using a similar opening line to many of the other videos. I'm struggling to decide who to talk about because, to be perfectly honest, I couldn't think of anyone. If you are going to learn this and use it, try to make it sound natural, not like you have learnt it and memorised it. Don't get me wrong is a very useful expression, which is like saying, don't misunderstand me, don't get me wrong. I do have, so you're using the auxiliary here to stress that it is true. I'd struggle to talk about them for 2 minutes. Struggle is a very useful verb for writing and speaking, and it means something you find difficult. Her name has slipped my mind. This is not true. I think she's called Melinda Gates. But I'm using this because it's very complex language. To slip your mind, if something slips your mind, you have forgotten it. So her name has slipped my mind. Apologies for. This is instead of saying, I'm sorry. And when we use apologies for, the verb goes into the ing form. Apologies for referring to. As you are probably aware, very useful little filler phrase to introduce something that the examiner probably already knows. As far as I know, and it's like saying, I think. And so having lots of these expressions makes your part 2 answer easier because you have all the filler phrases to use. You have the framework for your answer. He retired. This means to stop working. In some countries it's 60, at some countries it's 65. In the UK it's about 100 at the moment. He retired or semi-retired. This is when you reduce the number of hours you work. So maybe you go from 40 hours a week to 10 hours a week. So you're not fully retired, but you're semi-retired, half retired or part retired. a decade or so. So when you don't know if it's exactly a decade or exactly a week, you can say a decade or so, a week or so, a month or so. He set up, he established. Another word for a charity is a charitable foundation. I think I am right in saying, so again, it could be used in part 2 or part 3 when you think you're right but you don't know exactly. So instead of just saying I think I am right in saying. No, in actual fact, when you say something and then you think, no, I'm wrong, in actual fact, he is the second world's richest person. His retirement, when you retire, the noun is your retirement. Chilling out, I'm just trying to get some complex vocabulary in here. I can't imagine Bill Gates chilling out on a beach, to be perfectly honest. But chilling out, to chill out, means to relax and do very little. That's fine by me. This is another way of just saying, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine by me. Don't quote me on this. This is a phrase we use a lot in English, in speaking, not in writing. And it's when you are saying something that you think is true, but you don't know for certain. And so you don't want people to say, Rebecca said this, and then people say, no, that's not true. So you're saying, don't quote me on this. Don't say I said this. And so quite a useful little phrase to put in your part 2 and would be very useful for part 3 as well. He has given away, he has donated just under 50% of his wealth. Your wealth is your money. That's incredible, amazing, unbelievable. Make sure you're using complex adjectives. He has an astronomical amount of money. You can use this in IELTS writing as well, and it means a lot of money. An astronomical amount of money. Pretty amazing. We use pretty in front of adjectives in an informal way in speaking, and meaning quite good. It's pretty amazing, it's pretty good, it's pretty incredible. So here it's kind of meaning quite. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. This is an idiomatic expression. To be born with a silver spoon in your mouth means to be born into a rich, wealthy family of a high social standing or status. So somebody like Prince William was born with a silver spoon in his mouth because he was born into a family with money and status. But Bill Gates wasn't. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Very complex and useful expression. I'm not entirely sure. Try to use this instead of saying I don't know. I have a feeling that. It's another way of saying I think. I have a feeling that. It's like saying I feel, but you're making it a little bit more complex and a little bit more unusual. He's an entrepreneur, so a person who does things, creates things, sets up companies to try and make money. And he's a philanthropist. Very tricky word, so don't try and say it if you find it too difficult to say, but very useful and could be used in IELTS writing if you're talking about money given to the arts. A philanthropist. It's a person who tries to help others, often by giving money. So people who are very rich and donate money to charities are called philanthropists. He is someone who must be admired, and I've just ended on some complex grammar here. So a lot of complex language in here. You could use a lot of this language to talk about your friends. So he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, or she wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth, and adapt that to the person you want to talk about. You can talk about Bill and Melinda Gates. Now you can see I didn't really know much information. I didn't have many facts and figures, but I introduced them by saying things like, don't quote me on this, I'm not entirely sure, I have a feeling that, and these are very useful expressions and make your answer sound much more complex. Let's take a look now at one part 3 answer connected to this topic. So they may ask you, who should teach children to help others? Parents or teachers? Well, both of them, obviously. but I guess that parents have a far greater role to play in this. Parents are with their offspring for many years before they start school, and the sooner that helpful behaviour is encouraged, the better. When children start school, teachers should be positive role models and reward pupils when they see them doing good deeds. So they often ask you questions like this: who should do something? Is it parents or teachers? And often it is both of them, and you can talk about both of them and it gives you more to say. But I'm saying parents have a far greater role, a much bigger role to play. It's a good collocation, a role to play. Parents are with their offspring. This is another word for children. And the sooner that helpful behaviour is encouraged, the better. So it's saying the sooner you do this, the better. So it is better to do it sooner rather than later. But we often use this expression, the sooner that something happens, the better. Teachers should be positive role models. So in a lot of part 3 questions, they might ask you about celebrities or the role of people. And so positive role models is a useful phrase. Reward pupils, so give them a treat, give them a sticker, give them a gold star. This means to reward pupils. And I've used pupils instead of children, instead of students, because we need to add to our lexical range. So we've got offspring, children, pupils. When they see them doing good deeds. To do good deeds means to do good things. To do good things to help other people. You could say Bill Gates does good deeds. Deeds just means things, actions. Hope you found this video useful, and thank you very much for watching.